we don't. How you and I fix it? We don't have time to do another one for you. I know some of you are still have to note something, so I can maybe the basis. Do you mind just making sure they're because I can't get some of the notes, and so I can't model it good for you. And so then I'll see Tinder, but he'll make sure you're copied. You know, you're close. You've got the first page. You know, yeah.
Yeah, the good first page. That one note.
So, are you?
I can just. Yes.
They won't take your weight sitting on that, but they'll take your weight.
I never go upstairs without something. If I
Dennis and Rick, if you want, you guys can go on the lower. Whatever works. Henrik, are you okay? They're about to run through the base. If you want to go in. Yes,
So there'll be some words, and anytime there'll be 2 times where we invite people to come forward to the table and do something, and you just play while people are coming over to do something beautiful. That happens twice in the morning.
Where it says joys, and so at those 2 places, and then that's where.
Yep, exactly. Perfect.
And if you can work at some of those, this board, G major, just to sort of help.
And I will print out that order service for you right now.
Is that, and eventually, I wanted to get it digitally so she can,
We can add it. I'll go print right now.
Thank you so much. Okay, so are you? So she's about to print this so that we got this in front of you. And
I want to double make sure it was the first time so and second time to share and this is the here.
And I'm taking it currently, I just noticed on that run through, I'm taking it a return here and here.
I noticed the return here that
yeah, and that's but I'm trying not to return on these measures. Requires me a lot of return. They slow down there, and I'm trying to keep them going faster here. So I'm just with a little bit. for the coming weeks so that you could type in song title for Prelude Off, which generally is eventually, if it's here, then it's going to be one thing I should tell you eventually is if it's anything, anything that's ever set up any possible piece inspired, if you want to which is fine in general, it's a different licensing thing that we're spending. So it's something that say my Untitled Chapter. And I'm going to get you I can get you a couple books of relatively intermediate to very level arrangements of songs that are in this end of the Reverend, just so that you can, if you like them, you can pull it in, and that, I'm going to decide on what you're doing, so that, one of the applications that I'm going to give you some options. I'll order you a couple of books of them, because there's a nice music director and composer who arranges piano versions of stuff that's in the new handle, so and sometimes you can do that with play a little rock thing and just not take repeats or something, or if it's a classical piece, don't do the whole thing, but just do the A section. There may be ways to sort of tweak something to keep that mood and to keep it a little bit it sometimes feels weird to do that, to take play some Mozart and we'll play the tune, but it's to serve the purpose of okay. Do you have any more questions for me about your box is very small today?
Yeah.
So you're
Thank you.
okay. We can hear you. Okay. At the end of the service, get in and yes. And the only thing I want to do other than say hello to people is get plugged in.
Good morning, and welcome to the service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I have the great pleasure and honor of serving as minister of this congregation. Our community is striving to be as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you are, whoever you have been, and whoever you are becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here and now into this space, whether you're joining us in person or online. We are a covenantal community, which means that in this time of continuing pandemic, we make promises with each other about how we are when we are together. And currently, wearing masks, at least when we are in worship, practicing some degree of social distancing if that's what someone needs, and getting vaccinated are all part of our covenant with each other. So our hope is that if you're here in person today, you are as vaccinated as you can be. And if you are unwilling to be vaccinated, we hope that you'll join us online next week. I extend a special welcome to any visitors and invite you to fill out a guest information card. If you're joining us on YouTube, Mary Weiss is going to post a link to the electronic guest information card in the chat right now. And if you're here with us in person, if you join us for social hour over in Goddard, kind of kitty corner across the patio, you will be able to go to the welcome table and fill out a yellow sheet on a clipboard in there. And we will meet for social hour in Goddard after the service for coffee and lemonade, iced tea. Sometimes there are some snacks. And there was a memorial service yesterday, and so I think there will be some leftovers for us to munch on there. If you are joining us at home this morning or joining us on YouTube at some point this week, you will need a few things nearby to fully participate in this water communion later in our service. You will need a glass of water, an empty vessel like a bowl, a cereal bowl would be a good size, and then a stone or something that'll fit in that vessel, that bowl, that you don't mind getting wet. So get that glass of water, a vessel, and something to fit, a stone or something similar to fit in the bowl, probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. And I have an exciting announcement this morning. We have officially hired Hung Yu Bai, who's been with us a number of times this summer, to be our pianist for the time being. So welcome, Hung Yu. It is so good to have you with us. Hung Yu will be playing piano, the three pieces you normally hear, and accompanying the choir. And the choir has started back up again, so see Brian Moon if you would like to join them in singing. Anybody is welcome. You don't even have to know how to sing. And we are again joined by kindred spirits this morning, and they are going to take it away for the prelude.
Sat by a pond in the woods, reflecting what's peaceful and good, feeling the breeze, feeling at ease, knowing what he understood. A man known as the road, someone who knew his own mind. In nature he found his own kind, seeing the light, hearing the night, transcending all he would find. In the space between the raindrops, in the silence between the sounds, in the solitude within the multitudes where the timeless and formless are found. A man known as the road cherished the simple in life and let go of stresses and strife, taking what came at peace in the rain, grateful to just be alive. In the space between the raindrops, in the silence between the sounds, in the solitude within the multitude where the timeless and formless the space between the raindrops, in the silence between the sounds, in the solitude within the multitudes where the timeless and formless are found. A man known as Thoreau.
There we go.
Thank you, Guy and Bo and Sandy. It is good to have you back.
Thank you.
We begin with a story adapted from Laverne Hall. It's called A Child's Faith. We adapted this story to reflect our desert environment and the reality of multi-faith community. The desert was parched and brown from lack of rain. Every living thing lay wilting from thirst. People were anxious and irritable as they searched for the sky, to the sky for any sign of relief. Days turned into arid weeks. No rain came. The religious leaders of the local congregations called for an hour of prayer in the park downtown the following Saturday, and they requested that everyone bring an object of faith for inspiration. At high noon on the appointed Saturday, the people showed up in masses, filling the square with anxious faces and hopeful hearts. The religious leaders were touched to see the variety of objects clutched in prayerful hands. Rosaries, talits, prayer rugs, prayer wheels, candles, flaming chalices were only a few of the faith symbols brought. When the hour ended, as if on magical command, a soft rain began to fall. Cheers swept the crowd as they held their treasured objects high in gratitude and praise. And from the middle of the crowd, one faith symbol seemed to overshadow all the others. A small 9-year-old child had brought an umbrella to prove their faithfulness. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. My name's Wendy Gordon-Weeks, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Will everyone please join me in our chalice lighting words by Reverend Gregory Pelley? And so we gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for our connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. As we light this chalice, may all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love. Here may we be filled so that we may pour ourselves out into the world. Now, if you have a chalice or candle at home, please light it now as we light our chalice here in Holland.
Feel free to join us on the chorus of this next song. The words will be on the screen.
Dum diggy dum dum dum, dum diggy dum dum dum, dum 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 dum, dum diggy dum dum dum, dum diggy dum dum dum, dum diggy dum dum dum. Dum 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 dum, dum diggy dum dum dum.
River is a healer.
I'm gonna start us over because we pitched ourselves like a third lower that time. Can we
sorry.
Pum. Do you mind?
Not at all.
All right, excuse us. But Wendy wasn't gonna make it through that. I'm so sorry. I should have stopped us sooner. It's like a
Dum diggy dum dum dum, dum diggy dum dum dum, dum 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 dum,
Now it is time for our offering. The instructions for giving if you're at home will be on the screen. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received.
With all in love, that's how to be one with all we face and do better be, yeah, one with all and one with the most amazing grace, one with all in love. I used to feel that I was sad and lonely, and I couldn't deal return to perfection. One with all in love. That's how to be throughout all time and space. Indubitably, one with all, and one with the most amazing grace. One with all in love. Sing us a song that helps us feel replenished. Drink from the cup that never grows diminished. Play us a tune that makes our hearts feel gladdened and bright love we never could imagine. One with all in love. That's how to be throughout all time and space. Indubitably, yeah. One with all, and one with the most amazing grace. One with all in love. Yeah, one with all in love. Thank you.
Now is the time for our water communion ritual this year. Water communion is a uniquely Unitarian Universalist ritual first practiced by Unitarian Universalist women in 1980. These women were organizing to help Unitarian Universalist women gain a foothold in professional and lay leadership across our denomination, and they used this ritual of water communion as a way to connect the work each was doing locally to the whole. This very particular ritual has become a practice across Unitarian Universalist congregations at their in-gatherings, their coming-backs-togethers, their to reconnect after a usual summer lull. We are using this ritual in a similar, but maybe different way than you've seen before. But it is still to come back together, to connect to the things that we share, and to honor the particularities of our experiences here. This is our first water communion in 3 years. Ooh, I feel that. This is a hard thing. And look at what has happened in that 3 years. Look at all that has happened. We are different now, collectively and individually. The us of 3 years ago could never have imagined this moment, not in our wildest imaginings. We have lost so much. We have changed so much. There is so much to grieve. And we are here, which is something to celebrate. We are here in person and online, and this is the point at which I'm going to ask, if you're online, if you could put your name in the chat. We are going to have our AV team pull up that chat soon, so we can really see who is here, quote unquote here. Because we can get stuck in remembering who is not here. But I want us in this moment for this ritual to focus on who is here. And if you're here in person, remember our chat is a little delayed. So look up here for a second. I preempted them because I know it's delayed. Let's focus now on who is here. If you're here in person with us, look around. Look at the pews behind you and in front of you, to your left and to your right. If you catch an eye, maybe you'll smile through your mask. If you're joining us online, scroll through that chat at those names appearing if there are any. Maybe say hello in the chat if you're there. I see Kathy and Vicky there. I saw about 20 people there. We'll leave that up, and you might see more of their names if they choose to put them in. Remembering who is here. Today is about nourishing what is here. Who is here? The grief of who is missing, who has left, who has drifted is real and true. And today, I want us to stay focused on what is real now, which is that we are gathered here, and I am grateful for that. Before we start our ritual, if you're joining us at home, now is that time to get that glass of water, that bowl or vessel, and a stone or similar object to have them nearby. The words for this water communion ritual come to us from Katie Gelfand, called The Vessel of Compassion. Just a note that we have edited the pronouns in this reading to reflect the spectrum of gender.
Once upon a time, in a time that is both this time and no time, at the turning of the 9th moon of the year, 4 people journeyed from different directions to share a moment of sacredness together. Each carried a pitcher of water from their home, embedded with the stories and the emotions of their life and community. They congregated around the empty vessel, united in the desire to listen to the stories and the hearts of one another. The youngest person came from the east with the spirit of air. They poured water from their pitcher into the vessel. They shared stories from their home about the excitement of children being born, the music and laughter that fragranced the neighborhoods, and the bliss of young people falling in love. As they shared the story of their heart, they laughed, and the drops of liquid joy burst forth from their mouth and landed inside the vessel. The 4 people paused to honor the stories from the East and the spirit of the person who shared them. In a moment, you will be invited to pour out a little bit of water. The water symbolizes the joy you are carrying, the laughter, the excitement, the bliss. We pour our water because water is sacred and holy, and it nourishes all life, including ours. Water makes joy possible. If you are here in Holland, you are welcome to come forward and pour some water into a bowl that we use for joys and sorrows. If you brought your own water, you're welcome to share that too. If you are at home, take and pour an inch or 2 into your bowl, but make sure you save some for later on. All are welcome.
The parent came from the south with a spirit of fire. As he poured water from his pitcher into the vessel, he shared stories from his home about adapting to the ever-changing world of parenting, the challenges of navigating family life, and the difficulties his community faced with transitions in leadership. As he shared the story of his heart, a drop of sweat formed on his brow and landed inside the vessel. The four people paused to honor the stories from the South and the spirit of the man who shared them. In a moment, you'll be invited to name the transitions, challenges, and difficulties in your personal life and in our world. We will ask you to name in a few words what is troubling your heart. Remember, sharing and naming your troubles in community can help us remember that we are not alone. These we carry our burdens together, and water is a symbol of our struggle and a reminder that we have survived. If you're on YouTube, if you feel inclined, please place your transitions in the chat and so that we can honor them here. And we here in Holland are going to have a moment of silence, after which, after a moment of silence, we will speak aloud these transitions in the room. And if you will, for the moment of silence, I'll speak first. So if you'll join me in silence now. A transition to toddlerhood.
Mental illness. Things I would like to do but can't do.
For all these and anything that remains unspoken, thank you. You are not alone.
From the west, with the spirit of water, came the sovereign person. As she poured water from her pitcher into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about friends and loved ones who had died, the grief of those who missed them, and the deep pain she carried for the wounds humans have inflicted on each other and our world. As she shared the story of her heart, a tear of sadness fell from her eye and landed inside the vessel. The four people paused to honor the stories from the West and the spirit of the woman who shared them. In a moment, you'll be invited to place a stone in water. This water symbolizes the sorrows you are carrying, the grief and the pain we all feel at times in our lives, some more than others. We place a stone in water to remember that we are all always surrounded by love. Healing is possible. If you're here in Holland and you've not already done so, you are welcome to come forward and put a stone into the bowl we use for joys and sorrows. If you are at home, hold the rock or other object in your hand for a moment and think about the sorrows you are carrying. Then place the stone in the bowl with the water in it.
For this final part of our water communion, you will need some water to perhaps drink if you're willing to take your mask off for a minute. If you don't have water on you, we have cups of water. Just raise your hand and the ushers can bring you a glass of water, so indicate to them if you need that. From the north came the elder with the spirit of earth. As they poured water from their pitcher into the vessel, they shared stories from their home about the peace they found in solitude, the comfort they found in witnessing the changing of the seasons and the phases of the moon, and the renewal they felt when sharing their wisdom with those who would listen. As they shared the stories of their heart, a tear of joy fell from their eye and landed inside the vessel. The four people paused to honor the stories from the north and the spirit of the elder who shared them. And we are going to have a few moments of contemplation while our audience in Holland gets their cups of water. Anyone else need some? I see one more hand here. Jimmy Lee Janet. And a few more up here. Ushers, perfect. I think you are seen. Just Carolyn up here. Any more? Okay. Now, take your cup with any remaining water in it. Do not drink it. Do not drink it. Do not drink it. Keep your mask on if you're here in Holland for now. Focus on this water itself. Look at how it moves, even at the slightest movement of the cup. Look at how the water takes on color, changes shapes maybe. Remember that you are water. Over half of you as the same stuff that is in your cup. Think about what this water has been before it was in your glass. Has it been in a lake, a river, a waterfall? Has it been a monsoon, a snowfall, a piece of hail? Has it been a bird, a tiger, a house cat, a javelina? Has it been clouds or mist or dew or fog? This water has been perhaps all these things and more. Remember that you are half water, and water connects you to all that is. Let that gratitude grow in you for all the water that has been for you, for us, for this earth. Nourishment, sustenance, life. When you are ready, if you are thirsty yet, take off your mask for a second, if you're here in Holland, and slowly take a sip of water. Slowly, slowly take that sip. Maybe take a second, feel the water touch your lips, travel down your throat, maybe even feel it hit your stomach. Trace the water as long as you can as it travels through you. Notice how it feels. Take another sip, maybe another. Some of you have finished your glass by now. When your thirst is quenched, hold that cup again, perhaps empty this time, and take a moment to focus on that gratitude for water, for life.
Now between the four people was a vessel filled with the waters of joy and happiness, change and transition, grief and loss, and gratitude. mingled together in harmony and blessed by the people through their reverence and love for each other, the empty vessel of water was now a full vessel of compassion. Each person took out a small container and filled it with water to bring back to their home, to share the spirit of understanding and compassion with their own community.
If you too would like to take a little water home today, the bowl will be here for you to use that cup or vessel you brought with you. If you're joining us on YouTube and you're local here to Tucson, the office is open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 1, and we'll keep the water for you if you'd like to come get some, to remember that we carry the joys and griefs of our lives together. We experience the transitions of our lives with one another in this community.
May all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love. May we be filled so that we may pour ourselves out into the world, remembering that we are water. We are water, and our community here and here and here is a vessel strong enough to hold us. In joyful times and sorrowful times, our community has the strength to hold all of it. And that's what a vessel does, right? It takes a fluid and it gives it shape. A river without a bank is a flood. A nighttime drink becomes a puddle without a cup to hold it in. The vessel we pick for that water is important. Many of us have a favorite mug we use for our morning hot beverage. I remember one member at UUCT would come to church early so he could pick his favorite mug every week. And we know that from years and years of love and use, our vessel changes, just like the water changes as it passes through our ecosystem. In this way, there's this symbiotic relationship between the vessel and the water. One can say that change the other as they give shape and support, and they change and they give shape and support. Reverend James Ishmael Ford tells this story about broken glasses passed to him from Buddhist master Achin Suboto, the great meditation master. He tells this story that one day some people came to the master and asked, "How can you be happy in a world of such impermanence, where you cannot protect your loved ones from harm, illness, and death?" The master held up a glass and said, "Someone gave me this glass. I really like this glass. It holds my water admirably. It glistens in the sunlight. I touch it, and it rings. One day, the wind may blow it off a shelf, or my elbow may knock it from the table, and the glass will be broken. I know this glass is already broken, so I enjoy it incredibly. It is already broken, so I enjoy it incredibly." That's the paradox of the water and of the vessels and of life itself, right? How do I love so much knowing that all is impermanent? We just must love it incredibly as it is here today, now, as it is with all of us.
us in forgiveness. Wake us to the power. Wash us in the mystery of ocean, stream, and shower. Holy waters, make us new. Holy waters, make us whole. Holy waters, make us free. Holy waters, make us one. Make us
Amen. It is good to have the choir back, no? So it was earlier this week. It was during one of the monsoons. I can't remember which day because they've been coming quite nicely, except the past few days. Tuesday, Wednesday, I think. I've adopted that that practice of desert people, of when it rains, you go outside. You go feel some of this sustenance, this glory of water coming down. And I find myself singing a lot of times when we have that, going out into the rain practice, and whatever night it was, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever, it was when there was that great thunderstorms too, right at sunset. Anybody else outside that night? Yeah. I found myself singing, "The storm is passing over, the storm is passing over. The storm is passing over, alleluia." And now I've often heard and sung that at times. It's a gospel song. I've heard this version of it, this interpretation of that song is, the storm is moving on. The storm is going somewhere else. The storm was here and now it's moving, passing over us, going somewhere else. But this sunset, glorious thunderstorm, rainstorm I was out in, I was thinking, oh no, the storm is passing over this place, over me right now, over this land that needs this water, that needs this sustenance. The storm is passing over us, giving me sustenance and life and joy. So there's two ways of this storm is passing over. This interpretation we have is the storm is moving on. It's going somewhere else. Thank you. We've had enough of it now. But there's also this, the storm is passing over us, and we have this joy. We can feel the gratitude, the transition of it. We can seek nourishment from it. And I resonated with this because I think we find ourselves now culturally, this community beyond this, in this time where we are grateful that the storm, COVID, is passing somewhere. Eventually it will end, maybe. It's passing over. But also we are in this place where the storm is still over us, where we still feel the daily impacts, where people are still getting sick. Some people still are dying. People are having long impacts. We are still wearing masks. Some people are still staying home and will be for a long, long time. So we find ourselves in the tension of this song. And it's not just COVID. It's also democracy, right? And that's actually a storm passing over. We might be grieving, anticipating the fall of democracy. That is not a storm that we can say, alleluia, for that one passing, right? We want to have gratitude that it's here and it's nourishing us and it's keeping our economies and our government systems stable, hopefully. The storm is over us and it's going somewhere else. We're stuck in this tension between wanting the storm to be done and also needing the nourishment of it. Another storm I started thinking of that we are realizing we are in the midst of, it has not passed over, is that learning about what it means to be anti-racist in the 21st century. So many of us thought, oh, the storm has passed over, but actually we are still in the midst. I think of something that Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf said at the installation here a number of years ago. It takes as many years to undo an oppression as that oppression was being actively enacted. So if there was 400 years of enslavement of people in our country, are we 400 years from any? No. 400 years to undo that too. We are in the middle of that storm. And as we are in the middle of this storm where we aren't really sure what church looks like anymore, we aren't really sure who we are anymore. There's lots of questions there. You all have asked me many of those questions. There's some joy we can get from being in this storm. RE is starting next weekend, a soft start. We'll hopefully have opportunities for children. Yes. Simultaneous religious education for children will be happening, but it's been a slow start. We are in the middle of that storm. But there's still nourishment here, right? You heard me say this before, but I would challenge anybody, anytime they say, we've always done it this way, right? Because look at the past few years. Have we always done it? Hard-pressed to find something we have always done this way. And the choir is back. Another storm we're in the midst of. We are rebuilding. It is joyous. And there's some things we need to learn, like these microphones. I know we're working on that. We've got to learn how to have good sound, right? We're in the middle of this storm. What does this moment, when the storm is passing over, not passing, but just over us, require of us? I think this service unfurled the answers for us. Delight not only in the storm moving, but in the nourishment it is offering us now. There is always nourishment in the storm, in the midst of it. Know that chaos and uncertainty will pass or change. We might have a different chaos and a different uncertainty, but that storm is going that way. And where do we start? Bring an umbrella. Have faith that nourishment, the rains, will come. Have faith that this will not feel arid forever. Bring an umbrella. Have that faith, that spirit of a child. And I think the umbrella is important, especially for church these days. The umbrella that here in this community, we try to do things a little differently. We ask you to bring your whole self, all your joys, all the transitions that are happening in your lives, and share them here. All your grievings. We don't ask you to hold back grief or shift it or change it or for it to be different. We invite all of that to be here. In some ways, we try to be the umbrella for you, to protect you from anybody who says you need to be different, you need to be less joyful or less grieving, or can you get over it already, or oh no, COVID's over. No, here we have a different way, a different umbrella over us. The storm is passing over, and it is passing over. Be sure to bring that umbrella, to have the faith that the nourishment will come if we believe that it is on its way. Focus on who is here, not who isn't. Who is here? And remember that the work of church is to create space for joy and change, grief and gratitude to mix and mingle and contradict one another, because this reflects the fullness of who we are. I think we are going to sing together now.
Is rising, so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called The task is mighty, so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy, so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging, so are we. So the storm is raging, and so are we. Is raging, so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The sun is shining, so are we. The sun is shining, so are we. The sun is shining, so are we. Where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. Oh, the world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, so are we. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. So are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are.
The tide is rising, that task is mighty, this land is holy. Yes, yes, yes. We're gonna stay standing. I like standing, closing words. When I go like this at the end, it means keep standing if you're up. The tide is rising, the task is mighty, the land is holy. Yes, yes. Yes, in the days to come, and as we dwell in these days of monsoons and storms of many types, may you take moments to nourish and to delight in the nourishment, the sustenance, the holiness of water. Water is life, and water is holy, and so you are whole and holy, just as you are. Go in peace with love always, my friends. And have a seat for our chalice extinguishing.
Will you please join me in saying our words of Chalice Extinguishing by Melissa Jeter. We extinguish this chalice today, but we are illuminated by a faith that allows us to sit and think in this quiet time. We can reflect in solitude, meditating on love and growing out of our comfort. Though we experience discomfort, we are excited to give birth to a new, just world. And one last time, the awesome kindred spirit.
Oh, that healing rain, through every soul. The water of life, never to grow old. Don't want to search anymore. I just want to be found. Oh, healing rain, rain on down. Oh, that healing rain hit you right where you live. The water of love helps heal and forgive. Don't want to search anymore. I just want to be found. Oh, hear that rain, rain on down. Oh, healing rain, 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 rain on down. Oh, that healing rain soothe you every time. The water of peace flows deep in your mind. Don't want to search anymore. I just want to be found. Oh, healing rain, rain on down. Oh, healing rain, 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 rain on down. Healing rain, 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 rain on down. Healing rain, 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 rain on down. One more time. Healing rain, 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 rain on down.